But how do you know the signs that you find are actually a product of God versus your desire to know God, desire to believe in God? How do you know the difference there? Like what your brain is putting together psychologically, like piecing puzzle pieces together, how do you know that's reality versus delusion?
The same way you get to know what the good life is. You can believe the American advertising industry, which says the good life is hair a certain way, biceps a certain size, clothing a certain way, type of glasses a certain style, certain vacations, certain hookups with certain women. That's the good life. Or you can begin to realize, you know something? When I read obituaries, no obituary says, well, this guy had this kind of hairstyle, and this dead person really hooked up with a lot of gorgeous women. No. The obituaries talk about his character. And if he was a good person, they talk about all the good things he did. If he was a jerk, they either don't talk about it or they reveal it. So, you can't prove to me what is good. You got to figure it out. And I'm sitting here saying, God has given you a rational mind, He's given you a conscience, He's given you experience. Use your mind, your conscience, and your experience to seek to understand what is good, what the good life really is, and also if God exists, if He's good or not.
Well, what is the difference between finding God in a practical pursuit of truth and finding God versus finding delusion? What is the real evidence for that?
You'll have to allow God to show you. If God exists, He'll show you. But you better be humble and you better be open to Him. And the very fact that you talked about Pythagoras making mistakes means that you know what truth is. When you say Pythagoras made a mistake, what you're saying is, I know what truth is, and although I respect much of Pythagoras' thinking, at some points he was mistaken. He was out of touch with reality. So that's how you pursue knowledge, isn't it? You study, you're open. At times you grab hold of truth and you're right. At other times you make mistakes and believe lies. So you better consistently be asking yourself, does the evidence point to this being true? Does my belief square with my experience of reality? Does my belief square with my sense perception, my moral experience, my worldview, how I answer the question, what is real? What is the good life? Who is a good person? How do I become a good person? Where do I come from? Why am I here? How should I live my life ethically? What about the hereafter? Those are your worldview questions. So keep on working hard and pursuing truth. Open, God, reveal yourself as you choose.
So, God revealing Himself to people is a subjective experience for the person, like they're applying it logically, but they are going after it, and an answer for someone could be entirely different than an answer for another person. It just doesn't seem very scientific to me.
You're right. And guess what? The good life is totally unscientific. And being a good person is totally unscientific. And when you read the obituaries of dead people, usually what is being pointed out about them is they were a good guy, a good woman. Very unscientific. So what you've got to acknowledge is science is a wonderful branch of knowledge, but it's a very narrow branch. And I can promise you, the majority of life is not scientific equations or mathematical equations. The majority of life is how you treat people and how you're treated. And when I love going and speaking at MIT and eating in the student cafeteria. You know, I'm in awe of their technical expertise at MIT. But you know what they talk about over the dinner table? Not some highfalutin scientific equation. They talk about what a jerk that guy is or what a great person that guy is. They talk about their friends. They don't sit there as they're eating their dinner talking about some highfalutin scientific equation. Sir, the majority of life is not science. The majority of life is relationships with people. And wow, that guy's really a great friend of mine. That other guy, he just betrayed me. Wow, I could hardly wait to go out on that date. Wow, I could hardly wait to go home and see my family. Wow, I don't have a family to go home to. I'm really lonely. See, that's the majority of life. The majority of life is not a scientific equation. Now, it's wonderful that you're at a fine university studying science. That's great. But notice, although you have a department of chemistry and physics and history and drama, you do not have a department of living the good life. So you're going to have to think real hard and work through, what does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to live a good life? And you better use your mind and think deeply and carefully and not just throw up your hands and say it's all subjective, it's all relative. No, it's not all relative. Nazism is not the same as the Golden Rule. And if you don't learn to tell the difference between Nazism and the Golden Rule, you are morally an ignoramus. Don't go that route. Very unwise route. Very empty life. You better learn to tell the difference between what the KKK is saying and what Dr. Martin Luther King said. You better learn to tell the difference. And you better learn that one is good and the other is evil. And guess what? You're not going to have a department of good living here. You're going to have to do it on your own. And you're going to have to search for God on your own. So go to it. Thanks for raising this.